Coming up on today's edition of Locked On Eagles, it's the first episode of Stock Up, Stock Down in the 2022 season. Who shined and who struggled in the Eagles' nail-biting 38-35 victory against the Detroit Lions? That's coming up on today's edition of Locked On Eagles.
You are Locked On Eagles, your daily Philadelphia Eagles podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We thank you so much for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day. Welcoming Eagles fans to a Tuesday edition of the show. I'm Louie DiBiase. He's Gino Camilleri. Today's episode of Locked On Eagles is presented by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. Pick 2 to 5 players, and if they're going to score more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you can win up to 10 times your money on your entry. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code LOCKEDON. That's prizepicks.com, promo code LOCKEDON. We are continuing to recap the Eagles' season opening win, 38-35 against the Detroit Lions on Sunday. The Eagles 1-0. They're getting ready for a Monday night matchup next Monday against the Minnesota Vikings. Gino, we're going to kick off Stock Up, Stock Down, and how we're going to do this in the first segment now is we're going to focus, as we did last year with Locked On QB1. We did an entire episode. We're still going to talk quarterback a lot throughout the week, as we always do. But instead of doing a QB-centric episode, I want to do a Jalen Hurts-centric segment for Stock. We're going to continue to follow his status throughout the year because it is so important for him, right, man? I mean, with 2 first-round picks next year, each week is so crucial. And I think we both agree that he started the season stock up in Detroit. He was a reason you won that game. You won because of Jalen Hurts, not just winning with him.
Without a doubt, and I love the moniker that you put on there, that you won that game because of him. And the reason you won, was it because of his arm? In spots, absolutely.
Sure.
But it was because of the full package of what Jalen Hurts brings. And that's why you're able to play 11-on-11 football. And what that means is that when you're playing a quarterback like Jared Goff, the offense is handcuffed. They only have 10 guys. They're not going to get Jared Goff out the pocket. He's not going to pick up 3rd and 15s for you. He's not going to beat a guy in the backfield, break his ankles, and escape upfield. It's not what he does. But Jalen Hurts, that's one element of his game that we have seen time and time again throughout his evolution, and how he used it yesterday was out of necessity. It was necessary because the offensive line didn't play fantastic, and he got you out of some tough spots. Were there some moments that Jalen Hurts could have maybe looked downfield and found a guy? Of course. But if you look at all of the plays, and I tweeted out a thread of some all-22 from the game, the plays that set those 4 touchdowns up all came at the hands of Jalen Hurts. They came by that big throw to A.J. Brown, the screen pass to Dallas Goedert that he nearly scored on, and a screen pass to A.J. Brown that he nearly broke yet again. So Jalen Hurts was able to do a lot of those things we were asking. Can he do them? Well, I think we saw it yesterday. The patience of sitting in the pocket. The throw to A.J. Brown, I thought, really encompassed a lot of those areas where you wanted to see Jalen improve. Is he willing to throw guys open? A.J. Brown didn't separate until that ball was out of Jalen Hurts' hand, and he put it in a spot only A.J. Brown.
Or how about that 3rd down conversion to Brown over the middle where the linebacker put his hand up, but Hurts throws with anticipation, and it goes in a tight window. He made, Gino, you're right. Like, there were some times, especially early on, that he bailed clean pockets again. But I think there were way more times in this game where he hung in, when there were blitzes, where the Lions were disguising things. And last year, he drops his eyes instantly and runs. This time, he was calm, he was collected, and he made the right decision throwing the football. I think, and I don't really blame him even for times when he was escaping in this game, because he was rushed there were so many times, like you said, he needed to run, that I don't blame him the few times he was feeling the pressure. He was blitzed on 40% of his dropbacks, and he was pressured overall 38% of the time. He was hit more than any quarterback week 1, 20 times. That's a lot of contact. And so that's a game where he needs to elevate you with his legs. That was when mobility can create something out of nothing, and that's when it becomes a positive. And so I thought it was a great game, and I thought the decision-making was awesome too. Here's another stat I saw from CBS Sports. Only Hurts and Patrick Mahomes had over 300 yards yesterday from scrimmage of all quarterbacks. without a turnover. I thought he was good in the pocket.
Wow.
He ran well. He was decisive, and he was clean with no turnovers. That's a stock-up performance, man. Is it a 400 passing yard, 4 touchdown game, like we've seen some MVPs do? No. But considering the intense environment he was in with the Lions surging back and that kind of actual pressure the Lions were giving him, the way he handled it was very impressive.
He was like a point guard who puts up maybe 12 points, but he also has 15 assists, right? He put you in a position and took care of the ball. I don't think any of his throws, he gave the defender a good chance to make a break.
Even when he tucked the ball the one time, Gino, he was running it. He eventually last second pushed it out of bounds.
That was very smart football from Jalen Hurts. He did that a couple times where he's about to escape the pocket, and maybe old Jalen Hurts would have just kept that thing, got out of bounds. That's a heads-up football play to just throw that thing away. You're outside of the tackle box. That's a heads-up play. But at the same time, his ability to quickly identify man and why Detroit played so much man against the quarterback like Jalen Hurts and brought that pressure, if you don't hit home on that, and Jalen Hurts, he got sacked a couple times, but the rest of the time, you saw it's high risk, high reward, and when it pays off, it pays off. But for the offense, if they're willing to throw everything at you and you have a guy like Jalen, you have to take advantage of that. Baldy put out a tweet today saying you don't want your quarterback to run 17 times, right?
Or take 20 hits. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was out of necessity because he helped you escape areas where instead of backing up 6-7 yards because you take a sack, you end up getting a long first down. And that, just looking at the game last year with Detroit, Lou, you can match those two tapes up. Take a look at the All-22 from last year to this year and see the evolution that Jalen Hurts made in so many areas. And I thought that throw that you brought up, and I also tweeted this one out as well, where he makes a throw to A.J. Brown, who's in breaking, but the guy underneath is closing down. Jalen doesn't tuck the ball and take off. He delivers that ball in a tight window, and you saw him throwing with anticipation. You saw him putting the ball in areas where you might not have seen him take that risk.
And he completed 66% of his balls, Gino, after starting 0 for 5, his final 27 attempts. He completed 18 of them, right? So a 66% completion percentage. And he had 32 passing attempts. Last year, the final 9 regular season games, he did not surpass that total for attempts. And I thought he was efficient with that volume. And that's what we've been saying all along that we want. The touchdowns weren't there, but I mean, you were on the goal line each time and you had 4 rushing touchdowns. So that's going to take it away.
And the thing is, too, he was able to get you out of some jams where the offense backed you up due to some penalties. I mean, they got backed up a couple times. You take that holding penalty on the Devontae Smith catch that would have been a first down. The 12-man in the huddle. And Jalen got you out of some spots that we've seen in the past where he might have just dropped his eyes, went out there and might have got tackled before he let his blockers even set up. And now he's allowing everything to set up. He really is slowing down the pace of the game, which allows him to speed up his decision-making. And I think you're seeing a lot of maturity out of multiple players on this Eagles team. And to see, I would say the most important element of Jalen was after the game, the clip that the Eagles Twitter account tweeted out of post-game talk, having Brandon Graham right on his arm, showing the support that this is our guy, man. And you see how everybody buys into what Jalen is selling, but at the same time, he holds them accountable. He says we can get better. This is the standard where we have to try and challenge and elevate ourselves, because they know that if they make some of the mistakes that they made against better teams, they might not have the same result. So let's use this as the benchmark, Lou. You should use a 38-point outing as your benchmark moving forward for the rest of the year. And it starts at the quarterback position, exactly the way you wanted to see Jalen Hurts start. Did he get in his head early after that 0-5? No, he just bunkered down, knew that they could move the ball on offense, knew that they were going to get their spots. And you'll never say die with him. And in the biggest moment of the game, Lou, who do they trust? Put it behind Jason Kelce, put it in Jalen Hurts' hand, and get the first down.
And that's my final point on Hurts is the money downs. A sign of a great quarterback too, or somebody becoming a great quarterback, is when you can move the football in tough 3rd and 4th down situations. The Eagles were 10 of 17 last Sunday, or this past Sunday, only 2 days ago, on 3rd down, converted 5 of those 3rd and 4th downs into first downs or a touchdown with his legs, but also 5 of them with his arm. And I thought him running opened up things for the pass. The Lions eventually couldn't play as intense. They had to start thinking more, getting wider on the edge. It opened up things in the middle. Defensive backs had to be peering in the backfield. That you saw the positive impact of his mobility, how it affected that defense, and how it allowed him. It made things easier for him as a passer too, for sure. And so again, we don't want him to need to run as much as he did on Sunday or he did in 2021. But in that kind of situation, it was a necessity, and you need your quarterback to have that. As you mentioned, a guy like Jared Goff doesn't have it. The Eagles are always playing at +1, which is a huge advantage. But the Eagles did win that game for a lot of other reasons too, Gino, as well on Sunday. We're going to continue stock up, stock down. Coming up next right here on Locked On Eagles with some other players on offense and defense that shined. But first, a shout out to one of our sponsors of the day, and it's Prize Picks Daily Fantasy. I love how easy it is to play daily fantasy with Prize Picks. I hit the over on Jalen Hurts passing yards on Sunday, Miles Sanders rushing yards, and A.J. Brown. I put some money down on A.J. Brown as well to hit the over, and man, was I happy about that one. So how does Prize Picks work? Well, you pick 2 to 5 players, and if they're going to score more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you can win up to 10 times your money on any entry, no competing with anybody, just you versus the projection. Prize Picks offers projections on any sport you watch as well. Entries can be made 60 seconds or less. They have safe and fast withdrawals too. Download the Prize Picks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code LOCKEDON. If you deposit $100, Prize Picks is going to give you $100. If you deposit $50, Prize Picks will give you $50. Don't forget to enter the promo code LOCKEDON at sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. All right, Eagles fans, we thank you so much for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day. It's a Tuesday edition of the show, and we are kicking off the 2022 edition of Stock Up, Stock Down. Stock up to Jalen Hurts, his first game of the season, Gino. But it was a collective team effort to hold off the surging Lions in that second half. Who, to you, shined outside of just the quarterback on Sunday?
I think we have to look at a player that, yes, the new car and the new fancy toy came in and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, but the guy opposite him in Marcus Epps, what he did yesterday, was he perfect? Absolutely not. But you saw why the Eagles have trusted in his traits, allowed their coaches to develop him, and gave him the trust to become a starter on this team. I thought it was an instant impact play where you see him on a screen on a quick outlet pass as the apex player come down, put his foot in the ground, out-leverage the right tackle in Penei Sewell, who's trying to pull and kick him out of the play, put his head down with a perfect form tackle and take down the defender behind the line of scrimmage. Not only was he good against the run, but there's a play against the pass that I put out on Twitter as well to all 22. You definitely got to check this play out, where he is playing as a right safety, recognizes the number 2 is running a crosser. He goes from the right safety position all the way to the opposite numbers underneath of the route to allow Chauncey Gardner-Johnson to cap it, and they get a pass breakup. You have seen Marcus Epps come from a player who is highly criticized in the spots he was put in early on in his career by Jim Schwartz.
Probably unfairly so.
Unfairly so. Put it all aside and did what Eagles fans want players to do. They step up when they want you to be held accountable, and they want you to evolve your game into being a quote-unquote Philly guy. And Marcus Epps, I think he plays with that Philly mentality. I think he's an intelligent player. He has traits. He's physical. You can put him all over the field. And there's a reason why they were willing to pair him with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, because they trust those two to do multiple different things in multiple different areas. They didn't want to just be Anthony Harris single high, let the other guys do everything else. They wanted to go out there and disguise a lot of things, and it starts with what Marcus Epps is able to bring to that safety room.
And I thought stock up to Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, but Gino also overall, all of Howie Roseman's new additions outside of Haason Reddick wasn't overly impressive on Sunday, but Kyzir White made that incredible leaping deflection into the hands of another addition this year, cornerback James Bradberry, who I thought was tested a lot in the second half because Darius Slay was locking down the right side of the field. and Bradberry held his own. I thought Bradberry looked good. White, yeah, he missed some tackles, but overall the entire defense did. I thought he was very impressive in coverage. Jordan Davis had a great day, and we're going to talk more about him in the next segment. Jordan Davis, when he was actually given an opportunity, was a great run stopper. He actually was PFF's number 1 graded defender on the Eagles defense, number 2 overall against the run. Jordan Davis looked good. I thought CGJ, considering he's only been on this team for a week and a half, and he played a very different role on Sunday than what he did with the Saints. He made a bunch of plays. And then, of course, A.J. Brown. I mean, we already talked about him. He led the Eagles in air yards for the entire offense. He had 72% of their air yards, Gino, which led the entire NFL on Sunday, even over Justin Jefferson, who went off against Green Bay. So all of these moves Howie Roseman brought in through the draft and in free agency, they really did help out on Sunday. And each guy made a bunch of plays that you can remember. So stock up to Howie Roseman overall and these new free agents.
Yeah, even with Haason Reddick, I thought he did some things against the run that were really good. I thought he held his own in the run game. He was able to shed and get off of blocks at the point of attack. He might not have showed up in terms of getting into the backfield, but he did his job. And he was lined up in a lot of positions. They put him in that outside linebacker role at one point and blitzed him from depth. And that's something you haven't seen the Eagles be able to do. And Johnathan Gannon is now able to deploy these guys. And they all made great individual plays. And that Kyzir White play on the interception especially, he did multiple things well on that single play. He's in the overhang area. He's responsible for the tight end. The tight end comes up into his chest, and he holds his ground. But then he realizes that there's somebody underneath, gets off of that block, tips the ball. Then it goes to James Bradberry. Kyzir White is the lead blocker, blocks his guy completely out of the play. If he's not there to block that guy, James Bradberry's probably tackled 1 or 2 yards after the interception. Instead, it's a pick six. James Bradberry, instant impact outside of Darius Slay. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was all over the field doing a bunch of different things. On offense, A.J. Brown pulled a Terrell Owens. That was T.O.'s first outing when he was an Eagle, and A.J. Brown did something very similar. The best outing for an Eagles receiver since Alshon Jeffrey's great game against Miami in 2018. A.J. Brown is for real, and Howie Roseman knew what he was doing to help improve the roster in areas where they were weak, because you saw all of these guys do things that last year they were deficient in. Well, now they have a freaking good team, man. They had some individual efforts that were really impressive. And when I watched the game back, I said, wow, man, like these guys, they can do things that we have never seen before. Just being able to do things athletically, being able to do things with their intelligence. It's just great to see Eagles defenders back playing a way that we would hope, outside of a few elements which come into tackling, which could be the most important part of football.
And then, Gino, you have stock up to just overall the offensive execution, right? Scoring over 35 points, 38 on the day.
Second most in the NFL on the weekend. The Lions are number 3, of course. And there was a stat that was put out today that the Philadelphia Eagles moved the ball the second most efficiently in the NFL behind the Kansas City Chiefs. The Eagles were able to pick up 89% of first downs that they had. So anytime there's a new set of downs, they go out there, they were picking up a first down on literally 9 out of 10 drives, which is very, very efficient. And the Eagles did something they only did one time last year, and that's score as many points as they did today. They hit that against the Detroit Lions last year, and that's why I'm saying this should be the standard. We talked all offseason, what is going to be the offensive output that is going to be able to keep you in line and maybe even better than some of these teams. You got to be putting up 35 plus, and it starts at the hand of your quarterback. It starts at the play callers. It starts at the offensive just formations that they were running. They were getting guys moving in motion all of the time. I thought one of the best plays that they designed was they had Quez Watkins in the slot on the right side. They motioned him across the formation in a jet motion right behind the offensive line. They faked the handoff to Miles Sanders. They have Dallas Goedert coming from tight end on the other side behind the formation, leaking out, faking the pass to Dallas Goedert, while at the same time A.J. Brown is coming open across on a deep over. And man, Shane Steichen and Nick Sirianni, what they're able to do, and hats off to all
day.
the other offensive coaches, Aaron Moorhead, Brian Johnson, the quarterback's coach. I thought offense, when we sit back and say what went wrong in this game, that was the least of their worries. Even when they didn't hit on a full efficient day, which we thought they could potentially, if things went well, put up 50.
Yeah,
I mean, they put up 38 points.
Yeah, and that wasn't even the highest ceiling. And Gino, another guy on offense that totally shined was Miles Sanders. And I love that this was the first game because he was getting some heat this summer. I think with his contract season, there's been a lot more talks about what the Eagles should do with his future. We'll talk about a first audition for a second deal, 13 carries only on the day. The Eagles threw a lot, 32 times. Jalen Hurts was scrambling a lot as well. 96 yards for Sanders, averaging 7.4 yards per attempt, and his first touchdown since 2020. In that thread you posted, you talked about how he was very decisive in his running, balanced, patient, and he was clutch too, Gino. That last play, 3rd and 1, it was a broken play. The A-gap and B-gap, totally, it was stuffed. Detroit blew up the play. Sanders in LaShawn McCoy-like fashion bounces it to the outside and breaks off a 20-plus yard run. I thought he was very impressive. And you know what I'm going to give the credit for too, Gino? The look good, play good mentality. The visor was back on. The arm sleeve was back on. That was 2019 Booby, and that's what I give the credit to.
The play that he had to really win the Eagles the game was that 3rd and 1 where they're trying to run off tackle, which they did a lot of that day, where they just want to wash down the entire defensive line, allow Miles Sanders to get behind Jordan Mailata and go. Completely broken. Next Gen Stats said that he was expected to have 0 yards on that play. And he pumped out a 24-yard run, 24 yards over expected, because what you saw was a mature runner. You saw a patient runner. He was patient, but with patience, he had that explosive and decisiveness, which really came to fruition in a lot of his big runs.
He was setting things up more, Gino. I think there's
very Le'Veon Bell-esque in his patience in this game, I would say.
And I think there were times before where he would make decisions too quick with when to cut to the outside, when to just run up the middle. Everything just seems more comfortable. The game
just
really
trusted his blockers
down
today.
Yes.
Or the other day, rather.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Gino, though, there was a lot to work on, as Jalen Hurts said, in the locker room after the game. So we got Stock Down coming up next right here on Locked On Eagles. But first, a shout out to a couple of our sponsors, and one of them is Athletic Greens. It's a product that we use literally every day. I started taking Athletic Greens because simply I don't have enough time in the day to prepare the amount of healthy meals I need to get through. Got a lot of jobs right now, both day and evening. The grind is real, and I needed more energy, good feeling energy. Started to rely on caffeine, which was just not the move. So I've been on Athletic Greens now for a few months, and I absolutely love it. It doesn't taste healthy either. It's got a mild tropical flavor I'm really into. I look forward to drinking it every morning as I prepare for the show with Gino. So what is this stuff? Well, with one delicious scoop of Athletic Greens, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. The special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging, everything. I've sent it over to my brothers too. They're loving it as well. It supports better sleep quality, recovery, supports mental clarity and alertness. It's one of those things with all of the best things. It costs you less than $3 a day. You're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NFL Network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/NFL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Gino, tell us about Bet Online, who we did not help out our listeners with on Sunday with our LOE3.
Rough start. We start out 2-4 as a show. We're only down about a unit collectively.
I mean, we have the two of the same bets, so can we technically be 2-2?
No, you got to play it fair.
Yeah, I know.
But there's only one place that we play our LOE3 wagers. We play all of our wagers for all of the sports that we bet at the official sports book of the Locked On Podcast Network and the Locked On Eagles podcast, betonline.net. I have been wagering on sports for nearly half of my life now, and I can say the longest sports book that I've used has been betonline.net, and there's a reason. I don't just say that because they're the official sports book of our podcast network. I say it for a reason. As somebody who's probably used north of 10 different sports books, betonline.net is the most robust, They provide you with the most information, and it's the most seamless. You get your bets in, you get your money out. You can bet on basically everything. All sports are going on right now. You have Premier League, Champions League, MLB, NHL will be back sooner than you know it. NFL, NBA is right around the corner. Bet on the WNBA finals if you want to. Tennis is going on. Golf. I could go on. And guess what? BetOnline.net has all of it. It's the official sports book of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's the official sports book of the most Italian podcast out there in Philadelphia, the Locked On Eagles podcast, because it's where the game starts at BetOnline.net.
All right, Gino, we're wrapping up this Tuesday edition of Locked On Eagles with stock down, and we both agree to start this segment off that the defense was not good enough. The Eagles' offense was the reason they won this football game. Detroit, are they more talented than people get credit for on offense? Yeah, I would think so. They have a really good offensive line. Even with the injuries they had, they held their own. DeAndre Swift is awesome. Jared Goff is okay. I mean, he's not a horrible quarterback. DJ Chark is a solid receiver. He's not great, but, he can make plays if he's protected. He made a Super Bowl one time. And you have, Hawkinson. It's okay, but at the same time, to allow 35 points in the way they did it, stock down to the defense, and overall, Johnathan Gannon just not good enough with his situational play calling, the packages he was using, the personnel balance I thought was off. Just not a good day for Gannon. And we said all offseason, he doesn't have the personnel excuse anymore. He had it last year, and I didn't think he deployed all the new guys right on Sunday. I thought some things he did were okay, but way too inconsistent.
I thought Jordan Davis was not on the field enough at
22 snaps, man. They were only averaging 2.6 yards per carry with Davis on the field, and when he was off, the entire game, they were at 6.5 yards a pop. I don't understand why he wasn't on the field.
Especially because that was the most efficient way that Detroit was moving the football. The coverage was taking care of itself. I mean, they were able to break up a ton of different passes. Jared Goff wasn't on his game. He missed a couple throws where he threw past his receiver. It took, a near perfect ball over the head of Slay to even get in the end zone through the air that one time. And the rest of the time, it's on the ground, and you take out your best run defender on the interior. In moments in the red zone, he has Gardner-Johnson and Patrick Johnson out there in some different spots, which is crazy to me. I'm high on both of those guys, but you have run-stuffing edge rushers. Josh Sweat looked good against the run yesterday, even Haason Reddick, and you just weren't deploying these guys in the way you should. I thought how beat up they were getting on the inside against a lot of those trap runs, and still continuing to deploy that 4-down front where you have a 3-tech on one side. They even had multiple 3-techs and spread those guys out, so Detroit was able to have success, and they weren't able to tackle in space. But the one guy that was able to take the guy down at the line of scrimmage, you took out of the game. And yeah, he's a rookie, but he's your first-round pick, man. And
Gino, he's good enough to not just
multiplier.
He doesn't just need to be in five. Like, he should be able to play in those 4-man fronts. So when you don't have a 5-man front, I want the bigger guy out there too, and he has pass rushing ability. You didn't move up for this guy to have him as a sub-package player that's only playing 32% of the snaps when PFF has him graded as your best player on the unit, and he's your second best run defender. If you look at the tape, he made, when this team got dominant in that game on defense, Gino, for 3 drives at the end of the second quarter, I believe it was 3 drives, only 9 yards for Detroit. They had 3 quick 3-and-outs. Why did that happen? They started going more to those 5-man fronts. They were forcing them into 3rd and long situations because on 1st and 2nd down, Jordan Davis, Marlon Tuipulotu, and Milton Williams were dominating against the run. Mm-hmm. That the strategy they had almost felt like they were going after this pass-heavy team, and that wasn't the Lions. I just thought it was a bad strategy overall. Is he scared to not play Cox and Hargrave enough? Is it pressure because they're veterans? I don't know what it was, but it wasn't the right move.
I don't think so at all. And he doesn't have that excuse anymore. And you really want to see those questions answered going forward into this year. Deploy Haason Reddick out there all of the time. Why is he coming off the field in key red zone looks when you have guys that are rookies out there? That doesn't make sense to me at all. You could have gotten Kobe Dean involved more, even putting him out there in some looks just to get him after rushing the quarterback. Yeah. And some of the things that he did where you're saying, okay, can you not trust one of the units back there? Like, can you not trust your coverage unit? Can you not trust your front four? It just seemed like the cohesion isn't there yet between the play calling, putting the right personnel out there, and the tackling did them no favors either.
I just thought they got soft, later on in the game. They got comfortable too. I thought he stopped bringing pressure and was relying too much on the four-man front, which Gino was stocked down. They weren't getting the job done. So I don't know. Gannon wasn't disguising blitzes enough. The coverage was getting soft again at times. The coverage was great all game. I don't know why he didn't let them go out and win them that game. So, yeah, in the four-man front, just not good enough. Goff was clean on 28 of 39 dropbacks. You're investing $44 million into that unit, and you sack Goff once and just 4 QB hits. I mean, that's not good enough. A four-man rush makes things easier. You've got to be able to get success with just those 4.
You just have to be able to get success and not just sit on your hands at times and see what was working and not step off the gas. Like, you should have continued to send pressure. Why did you stop? Why did he continue to do the things that we saw last year and said, why were you doing that? We need to see improvements. We need to see him deploy his personnel correctly. We need to see him not allow 35 points to a Detroit Lions team. Things aren't going to get easier next week when you take on Minnesota.
Yeah, you play Justin Jefferson.
It's not going to get easier. And JG, you got a lot of questions to answer, my friend.
No, totally agree. I would say stock down. The main 2, the defensive line, the four-man pass rush, the run defense, tackling overall, and Johnathan Gannon just got to be better. As you said, it's a good offense with the Minnesota Vikings that come to town at the Link on Monday Night Football next week. Gino and I have you covered. We're going to take a first look at that Vikings game tomorrow. We've got crossover Thursday as well with Locked On Vikings, a Friday show Monday through Friday. Locked On Eagles is available free on all podcast platforms, on YouTube as well. Make sure you hit us up on Twitter at Locked On Birds, at GC24_football, and at DBLCLOE. We thank you so much for making Locked On Eagles your first listen today and every day. Make sure your second listen is the Peacock and Williamson NFL show. Brian Peacock and former NFL scout Matt Williamson give you the expert NFL analysis in less than 30 minutes. It's free and available wherever you get your shows. For Gino Camilleri, I'm Lou DiBiase signing off. This has been Stock Up, Stock Down on LOE. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for downloading and listening. And let's go Birds.
Fly, Eagles, fly.